Thanks so much for joining me for this episode of the But First She Failed podcast. I am so excited to have you guys back for today's episode. As you know, we are in the slow summer series right now. If you don't recall or don't know what that is, it just means we're going into a little bit of a slower rhythm for the summer where we are going to be putting out a new episode every other week. But I'm really excited for this new rhythm just for the summer, and we're going to be back to our normal rhythm in the fall. But today's episode, I'm really excited about it because we are diving into something that's so important. I think this episode is going to be super important to you, and I want you to listen in, right? Why? Because we are talking about how to develop a growth mindset. Why is that crucial? Well, I've talked about it in previous episodes, but I truly 1,000% believe it's the number one indicator whether someone will be successful in life or not, right? Whether they have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset is the opposite of a growth mindset. And we went into a long deep dive into that in two episodes ago. So if you haven't heard that episode yet, I encourage you to go back and listen to that. I really go into why it's important. I go into why it's the number one indicator whether someone will be successful. It's the number one characteristic or trait that every successful person that I've met pretty much has. It's very rare that I meet a very successful person that it does not have a growth mindset. So I think it's crucial. I think if you don't have it, it's something that you need to develop. That's why this episode, I'm so excited for it. A lot of you have been reaching out because last week, like I mentioned, 2 weeks ago, we talked about that. Last week, we talked about or 2 weeks ago, we talked about the last episode, we talked about different work life scenarios and how you would approach that scenario with a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset and how you can tell the difference, right? Which one you want to have and how to deal with that. So I would encourage you, if you haven't listened to that episode, to go back and listen to that. But I am so excited for today's episode because, like I mentioned, a few of you have reached out asking, how do I develop a growth mindset? And that's what we're going to get into today's episode about. So without further ado, here are 11 steps to develop a growth mindset. Number one is identify the fixed mindset traps. What do I mean by that? Well, let's take a step back and I'm going to go over the definition again to go into a deep dive of what a growth mindset is and what a fixed mindset is and why it's so important to have a growth mindset. Go back and listen to the last two episodes. It's really going to give you all that, the meat and potatoes of this. This is really on how to develop a growth mindset once you know you want to have a growth mindset, which believe me, you want to have a growth mindset. So again, the definition that we've been going with, I went through different definitions, and I thought the one that was most helpful and the most, one that encompassed kind of really what I feel like the essence of a growth mindset is this, right? A growth mindset is the belief that one's abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedication, hard work, and perseverance. It's the idea that talents and skills are not fixed, but malleable and can be improved over time with effort. People with a growth mindset embrace challenges, learn from criticism, and view setbacks as opportunities for growth. So this is a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset is the belief that one's abilities and intelligence are static and unchangeable traits, right? Right. We can kind of go into a deep dive, but you'll go again to the last episode and you'll see kind of the differences between like which one you might have or kind of the language that if someone has a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset would have, right? So the question is with the fixed mindset traps is the first step towards developing a growth mindset involves understanding the counterpart, right? You have to really understand what a fixed mindset is so you can start developing a growth mindset. You have to understand what you don't want to be, what you don't like in order for you to really start running towards a growth mindset, right? What is a fixed mindset? It's ingrained beliefs and abilities are static, unchangeable. Like it's, for example, do you ever catch yourself saying something about your weakness, for example, or your flaws? Like, well, that's just the way that I am. Or maybe you're going against a challenge and you're like, that's just the way things are. Things are never going to change. It's really a fixed mindset. We really believe things cannot be changed, right? By flagging these things, you can really help yourself say, hey, this is a trap. Like I need to get out of this mindset. This is not helpful for me, right? So I would encourage you to ask, like, where do you have a fixed mindset? Do you have a fixed mindset when it comes to maybe your finances? Do you have a fixed mindset when it comes to parenthood? Do you have a fixed mindset when it comes to your marriage or friendships or going back to school, your career, you're never being able to start your own business? There's so many different areas where we can have fixed mindsets. So fixed mindsets, what's interesting about a fixed mindset and a growth mindset is that I realized this a few years ago. I realized first of all, it's a journey. It's not like a static thing where you're like, you wake up one day and you're like, I have a growth mindset. That's it. It's not like that, right? It's this changeable thing. It's a journey. One day you're going to be maybe more fixed mindset, more growth mindset, but it's a process, right? And what's interesting is that you can have a growth mindset in one area of your life, be like maybe fitness. Maybe you feel like you are really good about going to the gym. You have a really healthy lifestyle, these things. But when it comes to your finances, you have a very fixed mindset, right? So it's really a thing that can appear in all areas of your life, and you have to be monitoring yourself for these traps, right? That you don't want to have a fixed mindset in one area of your life. I'm going to be real with me. That's an area where I struggle with. I have always been bad at math. I've told myself that, or I've had experiences that led me to believe I'm bad at math. So then I just kind of took that childhood thing of math and put it into finances, where I'm like, if I'm bad at math, I'm bad at finances. And then it wasn't until last summer that I realized they're not the same thing. I know I actually thought they were like exactly the same thing, math and finances. And I realized that last summer, wow, they're not the same thing. You can not be the best person at math, but you can still be great at finances, at managing your finances. And so, anyways, that's an area where I've really had a fixed mindset, and I've had to tell myself, or, no, I'm good at, started telling myself, no, I'm good at finances. I understand finances. And really, maybe in the beginning it might sound like you're lying to yourself, but it's really a way to start conditioning yourself of like, no, I can be, what I believe to be true is not true, right? Another area where I'll just tell on myself here is where I have a fixed mindset, or have had a fixed mindset, is cooking. I'm not the best at cooking. And lately I've been like, no, I enjoy cooking. Cooking is not that hard. You just have to do a few steps and you can enjoy it. It can be an enjoyable thing, right? I'm trying to think of another area. Waking up early. That's something I struggle with. I have struggled with in the past. And yesterday I was joking with my husband and I'm like, no, I'm great at waking up early. And he's like, good job. And so basically it's just kind of telling yourself up whenever you catch yourself having a fixed mindset, because I started realizing, man, I have a fixed mindset when it comes to waking up early. I always say I'm a night owl and I'm not good at waking up early. So there's a lot of power in your tongue, right? The Bible talks about this. The power of life and death are in the tongue, right? So the things you say have so much power. A lot of people in like the new age world will say like manifestations, but that's really something that's age old. It's biblical, right? The things that we say have so much power, right? So where in your mind and your thought process, because what you think is what you're going to say, right? So where in your mind, or where in the things you're saying are you speaking with fixed mindset? Start correcting that. Start, looking into like just flagging it in your mind. Step number one is flagging it. Like, where do I have a fixed mindset? Where do I need to stop saying these negative things? Where do I need to stop having this negative mentality? Because that's going to be the first step really in getting you there. Number two is reframe your self-talk. So this is kind of leading into what I was saying, right? Start noticing the way you talk to yourself. Replace the fixed mindset phrases with growth oriented ones, right? So a fixed mindset example would be, I'm just not good at this, right? You can say, I'm like I was saying, I'm just not good at math, right? Instead, you can say, I can get better with practice. I can be good at math with practice. That's something that I need to tell myself constantly, right? Or another fixed mindset is, I failed. You can say, maybe some people think they failed at their careers or they failed at something. And instead they need to say, you know what? I learned something valuable. So in that role, maybe I was let go from that role, but I learned something valuable, right? Or maybe they think I failed at, sometimes it's in your personal life. Some people feel that they failed at a marriage. Well, they can tell themselves, you know what? I learned something valuable in that previous marriage. I learned something. But obviously you do have to do the reflection work. You have to not take victim mentality, or not try to speed past it. You really have to take time to reflect, but it's important to kind of tell yourselves, I can grow through this, right? Another fixed mindset is, this is too hard. Like, maybe you're telling yourself it's too hard to go back to school. I have children. I just can't do this, right? Well, maybe a growth mindset reframe. Well, this will help me grow, right? Like, you can grow through this. There can be ways, there can be systems you can put into place. There can be help, even when things seem impossible, there's a will, there's a way, right? And of course, that's a general overstatement. It's not scenario specific, but it's really important that you start reframing your self talk, right? Because you can often say, this is too hard. I can't do this. If you start saying those things, then you're right. Whatever you say, you're right. So if you say, this is really hard, I can't do this, then you cannot do this. But if you say, this is really hard, I'm going to have to learn how to manage my schedule in a new way. I'm going to need to get more support. I'm going to have to figure out how to figure out the finances. If you figure out different ways around it, like, this will help me grow, this will help you grow, right? So it's important that you reframe the way you self-talk, especially in those fixed mindset areas, the areas where you're really struggling in. That's crucial, right? Number three is, you see challenges as opportunities. This is what you need to do. Step three is, see challenges as opportunities. Tell yourself that you gladly accept this challenge. It's an opportunity to learn and grow. You might not believe yourself at first, but keep telling yourself that anyways. So whenever you come across a hard scenario, I actually went through this last week where we had a very crazy week in the life of our home. My son is in this swim class where it was every single day for X amount of weeks, like every single day, Monday through Friday. And he also started camp about, when was it? Last week, I think he started. Yeah, last week he started, or 2 weeks ago, he started camp. So his schedule was just completely off, where I had to take him to a pool for swim class at 8 a.m. in the morning. And then I had to take him to camp. And simultaneously, we also have our church has a massive conference that they put on every single year. And I had a family member flying in for that to help us, because it's a lot of stuff and it's just a lot of crazy schedules. And I had committed to volunteering with that. And so I knew it was going to be a very crazy weekend. As I looked at the week, I was very overwhelmed. I was like, how are we going to do all this thing? When am I going to sleep? When am I going to do these things? When am I going to do my errands? How are these kids going to survive this week? It's like nonstop, like 8 a.m. till like 9 o'clock at night one day. And so it just felt very overwhelming. And then I was feeling so overwhelmed, and I had to stop and tell myself that this is an opportunity to grow. This is a challenge. First of all, it's just 1 week. I can get through this week. It's going to be difficult, because I'm going to have to figure out how to take my son to swim class early in the morning without giving him breakfast, and then give him breakfast afterwards, and then drop him off at camp, and then pick him up from camp, and then it was just a kind of a crazy day logistics wise, a crazy week logistics wise. But I remember telling myself that no, this is an opportunity for growth. I was very overwhelmed when I was looking at it as a hard thing. And then I started reframing it as an opportunity to grow, where I can grow, because you know what? I'm going on to bigger things with our life and all the things. And I need to learn how to manage a chaotic schedule, if you will. This is just an opportunity to learn and grow and expand on how to manage multiple schedules, multiple people's schedules, and logistics and all the things. And I saw it as an opportunity. When I started seeing it as an opportunity for growth, where even though it was this extremely hard thing, it was very chaotic. If I told you the nitty gritty of it, I started getting excited, because I started seeing it as like, in the future, who knows what my future holds? Great things are in store for me. So I'm going to have to know how to manage a lot of different things. And I started seeing as an opportunity for growth, right? So that is a way where you can start seeing something that's a challenge, something that overwhelms you, start looking at it as an opportunity. Because if you start looking at it as an opportunity, like, this is going to expand me, this is going to expand my capacity as a parent, this is going to expand my capacity as a leader, this is going to expand my capacity as a professional. If you start seeing it that way, it's going to kind of take away some of the overwhelm. Like, you'll still have that nervousness, but at least you're going to start getting excited about it. You're going to start seeing it as a challenge, and like suit up and get more excited and put your effort into it. And it's going to be a completely different dynamic shift. So that is number 3. See the challenge as an opportunity, right? Step 4, number 4 to developing a growth mindset is don't fear failure. So on brand for this podcast, right? So don't fear failure. The next step, redefine failure, which is what this podcast is all about. And just as a reminder, we have, if you are struggling with failure, with overcoming fear, we actually have a resource for you. It's overcomingasetback.com. I will double check that and put that in links in the show notes as well. If you feel like you are really struggling with a past failure and you just can't get past it, you are really struggling there and you can't move past it, then I have a framework for you. It's going to be the first step that if you go to that website, you're going to download the first step of really going through the process of getting over a past failure or past setback, if you will, whichever way you want to call it. And it's really going to help you get on that journey. And if you go through that and you need the next steps, just simply email me. I'm going to put my email in the show notes as well. And then I will send you the rest of the framework. But I want to make sure that you start the process. Once you start the process, please reach out to me. I will give it to you for free. All that's going to happen is going to be added to our email list, the But First She Failed Insiders list, email list. And that's it. That's all. When you're going to get the process of starting the redefining failure journey, if you will. But again, redefine failure, right? So going back to this, people with a growth mindset don't see failure as a dead end. Instead, they view it as a learning experience, a stepping stone on their path to success. Failure isn't proof of incapacity. It's a testament of bravery, of daring to try. So the next time you fail, don't let it discourage you. Analyze what went wrong, learn from it, and use it for knowledge and to get better for the next time, right? One phrase that helped me tremendously, and I always say this in my journey of learning and redefining failure and like loving this topic and being so passionate about helping other people with this, is one time I heard a speaker say, in life, it's not either you win or you lose, it's either you win or you learn. Again, it's not either you win or you lose, it's either you win or you learn. And when I heard that, a light bulb went off in my head. It was like I started seeing rose colored. I started seeing the world differently. Why? Because that meant that literally you're always winning, because either you're winning in that moment, you're succeeding in whatever you're trying. And if you're not succeeding, you're learning and you're getting better for the next opportunity. You're getting better. You're reassessing. You're doing the things. So it's like in life, literally, it's a win-win, because you're either literally winning and succeeding in that project, that thing that you're doing in that moment, or you're not, and you're just learning and getting better for the next time. So for me, it was such a game changer when I started telling myself in life, either you win or you learn in every opportunity, right? So that is step 4. Step 5 is value effort. Recognize that effort is the engine that drives growth. Even when progress seems slow, your effort isn't wasted. It's building resilience, strength you need to achieve your goals. Set specific, achievable goals that require effort to reach, and track the progress to ensure the effort is directed towards the most impactful task. Recognizing the value of hard work, perseverance, celebrating these efforts will reinforce the belief that abilities can be honed and expanded with time and dedication. So value effort. This is something that I am striving to do so much, because I think so often in life we're like, oh my God, congratulations, you got the trophy, you got first place, or you hit this number, or whatever. And that's great. I'm not telling you to not celebrate those things, but I'm also telling you to celebrate the effort. When you put in a lot of time and effort, pat yourself on the back, say like, hey, good job for putting in that effort. Good job for putting in that energy and that attention into that. This is something that I'm really trying to model actually with my son. My son he's 5 and he's super, super competitive. That's just his natural way of being. He's very competitive. He wants to be the first in the car every time. He wants to be the first to buckle his seatbelt. He wants to be the first for everything. He's competitive with all of us. And that's just his nature, his natural nature. And something that I'm really trying to cultivate in him, because I don't want him to have a fixed mindset, is that I'm more proud of him when he tries something. So instead of being like, oh my gosh, you were the best kid you're so talented at sports, you're so talented at this, I can say those things a little bit, but I get very excited when I say, "Wow, I'm so proud of you because you tried something hard. I'm so proud of you because you were brave. I'm so proud of you because it was uncomfortable and you still did it. I'm so proud of you because that's what I am putting my weight on when I tell him I'm so proud of him because of XYZ thing, instead of I'm so proud of you because you were the most athletic in the class, right? Because he's naturally gifted at being athletic. That's not something that, and even if he wasn't, I just want to put emphasis on where I believe he's going to develop a growth mindset, because I believe a growth mindset will help him more in life than having a fixed mindset, right? So I'm putting a lot of emphasis on his effort versus the outcome of whatever said thing, right? So value effort is number 5. And then let's go on to number 6. Number 6 step to developing a growth mindset is continue to learn, right? The desire to learn is a fundamental pillar of growth mindset. It's about being endlessly curious, constantly seeking new knowledge, and relentlessly striving to improve, right? So basically, you see this as like an opportunity to learn every single day. You want to learn something new. You want to become an avid reader, start listening to books. If you are an Audible person, start reading books, start learning, whether it's like learning how to cook, learning how to, try a new class. I just recently got into spin classes and I'm loving it. Try something new, continue to learn. I think there's so much power. If you are not a learner, then you cannot be a growth mindset person, right? Because the growth mindset person is kind of obsessed with growing, right? You always want to be learning a new subject, a new interest, like learning about it, whatever it is. It can be something small, like learning a new recipe. It can be learning, to do a new sport, like I said, a new type of gym class, or a new type of, it can be anything. Learn a new language, continue learning. The love of learning is the point here, right? So someone with a growth mindset, it goes hand in hand. You can't be someone with a growth mindset and not really be someone that loves to learn, right? So this is something, cultivate your love of learning is a step 6 to be a growth mindset oriented, right? Number 7 is cultivate perseverance. Persistence is the lifeblood of growth mindset. Yes, it is. You have to keep going at things, even when they seem strong, like really hard, when they're challenges, when you feel like you want to go back to your comfort zone. Really, an individual with a growth mindset, they repeatedly lean into discomfort. It's a habit for them. It becomes a habit. The more you do it, the more it becomes a habit, right? So persistence in a growth mindset, about understanding that it's worthwhile achievements demand time and effort. These are the people that really go for it. They put in the work, they put in the blood, sweat, and tears. So it's a process of becoming, it's a very healthy perspective on failure and all these different things, right? So cultivate persistence. It's not like I'm going to give up the minute that there's a hiccup on the road, the minute that it becomes difficult, because life is difficult. You have to develop that grit, that perseverance. That is really essential when it comes to developing a growth mindset, right? Not retreating to comfort, not being like, oh, this is too hard, I'm just going to give up, even though it's something you truly, truly want, right? No, you lean into it, you cultivate perseverance, you persistence, you continue to go after it, right? Because there's a lot of truly brilliant and smart people that give up. There's a lot of really, really talented people that give up, right? But the people that don't give up, the people that persevere, those are the ones that get to their goals. Those are the people that get to the life that they've envisioned, right? So really, really cultivate that persistence. Continue to go after your dreams and the goals, your God-given goals, right? God gave you those goals and that vision for a reason. It's up to you to cultivate that, to be persistent with it, to hone it well, to take care of that, and so cultivate, persistence is step 7, right? Number 8 is seek out constructive feedback. We've talked about this. Someone with a fixed mindset will not get feedback. Something I've struggled with this in the past, not wanting to get any feedback from people, but it's really something that it's something out of your comfort zone, right? Something you need to push yourself out if you struggle with that. The ability to accept and act upon constructive criticism is crucial for adapting a growth mindset. It provides an outside perspective that might highlight blind spots and opportunities for growth. Feedback is your friend. It's a tool for growth, not personal attack. So people that have a fixed mindset tend to see it as a personal attack. When someone's like, hey, you could have done this better, they see it like they get very defensive. And I've been there before, where you get very defensive, you get very up in arms, and it's like, no, it's constructive constructive, combine those two words, constructive criticism or feedback, right? And it's supposed to be there to help you, right? So of course, measure who you're taking this advice from. Would you trade places with them? Would this be someone that you would want to counsel you in this area, right? Learning to seek out, receptive and be receptive to constructive criticism is really, really crucial in growing and developing in this whole thing of growth mindset. Pick out or seek out people that you think, there's always that rule of thumb, right? To take the advice from the people that you would take advice from the people that you would want to trade places with, right? So I've heard this said in a lot of different ways, but for example, marriage advice, you would want someone, if you want to get marriage advice, seek it from someone that you think has a very healthy marriage and you would want to trade places with them as far as like how they're in a healthy place. Or career advice, take that advice from someone that is in a healthy career, that has kind of the fruit in that area. Or someone that you value that has a lot of wisdom and a lot of years on you, and they've been through this and they've kind of maybe seen some stuff and they can advise you on that area, right? So seek out constructive criticism is crucial. That is step 8 to developing a growth mindset. And number 9 is surround yourself with growth oriented people. This is people with a growth mindset, right? Engage with people who challenge you and support you. People, read stories about people who succeeded through effort. This is something that I love to do. I love to read autobiographies or just stories of how people succeeded, that they really put in a lot of work and they succeeded eventually, and they pivoted and they made it. That's really encouraging to me, right? Avoid environments that punish mistakes or idolize talents alone. This can be so true. There's a lot of environments where we can be living in, or in different areas of our life, whether it's work, whether it's friends, family, whatever that looks like, that maybe it's really environments that punish mistakes or they idolize talent alone. And that's not the reality. Is talent can only get you so far, right? It's really crucial that even you can be the most talented person, but you're going to come across obstacles, right? So having that growth mindset is crucial. It's the number one thing that it's like, wow, if you don't have a growth mindset, how do you ever bounce back from things, right? And so it's really important that we cultivate this, right? So surround yourself around in the right community, around the right people. Make sure that you have friends that will encourage you, or the people that you talk to about your dreams and your goals and your aspirations will encourage you and not extinguish that fire that you have within you, or that idea, or the just the vigor that you have, right? It's really important. And number 10 is celebrate your small wins and the successes of others. Embracing a growth mindset involves taking inspiration from the success of others rather than viewing it as a threat. Celebrate the achievements of your peers and consider we can learn from their journey. Observing the accomplishments, strategies, the things that they like, how did they accomplish that? What did they do? What were the strategies that they put into place? Like, how did they get there? How can I apply that to my own life? How can I adapt it to my situation? Those are things you want to be asking yourself, right? You'll be able to blossom alongside them, be inspired by them. Look at these people that are leaders in that area, or that have just even peers that you see like, wow, like how are they doing that? That's really inspiring. Pick and choose from different people. Remember to celebrate the small wins in your journey as well. It's important because I've talked about this a few times in the last few weeks, but if you're not celebrating your small wins, then how are you ever going to get to the big win, right? You're going to be fatigued, you're going to be tired, you're not going to have energy for what's ahead. So it's really important that you constantly be celebrating those small wins on your journey, as well as the successes of others. You do not want to be in a place where you are comparing yourself. And if people are succeeding, you're getting mad or upset. That's not a good place to be, right? So, celebrate the wins and the successes of other people. Make sure that, you don't sell yourself short. You're not comparing yourself in a bad way. You're not saying, oh my gosh, they have it all together and I don't. And don't be thinking that you're better than other people too. That's not where you want to go, right? You want to be in a place where you are being inspired by people. You are going alongside them. You're like, man, if she can win, I can win. You're cheering one another on. That's the healthy place to be, right? So that is another way to cultivate a growth mindset. And number 11, this is an extra one. This is a freebie. I haven't done this before. I actually want to start implementing this, but this is reflect and adjust, right? Ask yourself regularly. I found this one as I was doing the research, right? What did I try that didn't work? So you can ask yourself, you can even keep a journal, a growth mindset journal, and jot these down. Like, what did I try that didn't work? What can I do differently? What did I learn today? You can ask yourself all these questions. These are really going to help you start getting into the flow, the mental flow of someone with a growth mindset. You can also write down like challenges faced. Like, what were the challenges that you faced? How did you respond to the challenge that day? What did you learn or how could you improve? And this is kind of like manually going through the exercise of developing a growth mindset, right? Because it can be tricky, especially if you've had such a fixed mindset your whole life or in a certain area for so long. This can be a really like practical, like manual, like, taking it like actual way of doing the steps, and where it's like an action oriented way of really training your mind to go through the process of a growth mindset, right? Because these are the questions you would be asking yourself in your mind if you had a growth mindset approach to something, but you can actually like manually kind of like make yourself go through it, especially if it's an area that you're really struggling in, right? So, a growth mindset journal is a good opportunity for that. And asking yourself those prompts is a great way to kind of get past that. But there you have it. Those are 11 steps for developing a growth mindset. Let me know what you think. Are there, maybe you've already developed a growth mindset and you can attest to some of these. Let me know if one of these worked particularly well for you. Or maybe there's something else that I missed. Let me know. I would love to hear from you. If you are on YouTube, leave a comment below. If you are, on and listening to us via Audible, like Apple Podcasts or Spotify, then make sure to reach out to us on Instagram and let me know there. I'm always excited to hear from you guys on Instagram as well. So, anyways, there you have it. Those are 11 steps for developing a growth mindset. I hope to see you next time. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode. Hope to see you next time.